In the glitzy world of WWE, where bright lights shine and crowds roar, not every story ends in triumph. Behind the championships, iconic matches, and moments of glory lie countless tragedies, where sweat, blood, and tears are buried beneath the mask of fame. Many superstars once stood at the very top, only to fall into the abyss in the blink of an eye. From career-ending injuries, betrayal by the company, to stolen opportunities, this is the bitter journey of those stars forgotten by fate. Let's dive right in. Wrestling Sphere, go! Scott Steiner, the tragedy of a legend left behind by time. When Scott Steiner returned to WWE at Survivor Series 2002, it was supposed to mark the beginning of a triumphant new chapter for Big Papa Pump. With his massive physique, intimidating aura, and legendary status from WCW, Steiner was welcomed with thunderous applause. The arena erupted at his arrival. Fans believed WWE had finally gained another true heavyweight star. He was soon drafted to Raw, where WWE planned a major storyline with Triple H, who was dominating the brand at the time. The company's intention was clear: to build Steiner as a top babyface, someone who could stand toe-to-toe with The Game. But everything began to crumble the moment he entered the main stage. At Royal Rumble 2003, his highly anticipated title match against Triple H was expected to be a clash of powerhouse titans. Instead, fans quickly saw that Steiner was no longer the same. He looked stiff, sluggish, and struggled to keep up with the pace. By the time the match ended, disappointment filled the arena. WWE tried to salvage the feud with a rematch at No Way Out, but it turned out even worse. Boos completely replaced the cheers he once received. Within just a few months, Steiner's image collapsed. WWE was forced to scrap plans of making him a top star, even excluding him from the WrestleMania 19 card, a crushing blow to a former world champion's legacy. After that, he was relegated to minor feuds with Test and a few lower card names, before being quietly released in 2004. From a WCW legend to a cautionary tale, Scott Steiner became a stark reminder of time's cruelty and shattered expectations. When his body could no longer perform at the level it once did, the spotlight faded faster than ever, and WWE, the stage that once greeted him with open arms, became the place that witnessed the saddest fall of his career. Dean Malenko, a technical genius forgotten. When the Radicals, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Perry Saturn, made their debut on WWE Raw in 2000, it was a moment that electrified fans. These four had just walked out of WCW, where they were seen as symbols of pure skill and passion, and now they were stepping onto the biggest stage in wrestling, WWE. But though they began together, their paths soon took very different turns. While Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit rapidly rose to main event status, Dean Malenko was pushed to the sidelines. Despite being one of the finest technical wrestlers of his era, he was confined to the light heavyweight division, a place WWE treated more like a sideshow. Malenko continued delivering masterful performances, precise, smooth, and calculated, but mainstream audiences barely noticed. In an era dominated by exaggerated characters, comedy, and explosive personalities, Malenko's calm, man of 1,000 holds persona was dismissed as bland. Instead of becoming a marquee star, he was gradually dropped to the mid-card, then faded away entirely. For many fans, it was a tragedy, because Dean Malenko deserved to be remembered as a craftsman, one who followed passion and technique above all else, not as a name lost in the shuffle. When injuries forced him to retire in 2001, his career ended in absolute silence. No farewell, no tribute. A somber end for the Iceman, cold, precise, and perfect in every move, yet never granted the spotlight his talent truly earned. Perry Saturn, the tragedy of a talent turned into a joke. Unlike the calm composure of Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn brought raw intensity, power, and a chaotic edge. When he joined WWE alongside the Radicals, many believed he was the perfect blend of technique, strength, and unpredictability, an ideal fit for the Attitude Era. Early on, he even found some success, winning the European Championship, competing in notable matches, and leaving a respectable mark. But everything began to unravel quickly. WWE seemed unsure of what to do with Saturn, a powerful wrestler without a compelling storyline. Instead of tapping into his toughness, the company turned him into a bizarre character who fell in love with a moppy. It wasn't just an odd gimmick, it was the turning point that destroyed his career. From a respected competitor, Saturn was reduced to a punchline on national television, a comedic act no one truly wanted to see. Behind the scenes, he battled injuries and mental strain, causing his performance to decline. Eventually, he faded from major shows, was rarely used, and was quietly released. From a man with a promising future, he became a harsh example of how ruthless this business can be. One poor creative decision can erase an entire career. Perry Saturn's tragedy wasn't just about being forgotten, it was that he once had everything: talent, physique, personality, only to be turned into a joke and abandoned by the very fans who once cheered for him. Chris Masters, WWE's unfinished masterpiece. From the moment Chris Masters debuted on WWE television in 2005, he turned heads. With a chiseled physique, cold demeanor, and confident presence, he was quickly dubbed the Masterpiece, a living sculpture in the wrestling world. WWE clearly saw star potential in him, positioning him as a future powerhouse in the mold of past muscle-bound legends. His signature hold, the Master Lock, became one of the most feared finishers of the era. WWE even launched the Master Lock Challenge, where no one could break free for months. Masters was portrayed as an unstoppable force, seemingly destined for the main event scene, especially when he was involved in a WWE Championship storyline with John Cena. But in 2006, everything suddenly shifted. WWE appeared to lose faith in the very masterpiece they had created. Masters was pushed out of the main event picture, dropped to the mid-card, and gradually phased out of major storylines. At the same time, personal issues outside the ring affected his image internally. When WWE finally released him, it wasn't just a professional setback, it was a crushing blow to his own self-belief. Yet, he refused to give up. After years of rebuilding his body and improving his in-ring skills, Masters was re-signed by WWE in 2011. This time, he was more seasoned, more polished, and slowly earned back fan respect. But by then, the door to superstardom had closed. WWE no longer saw him as a headliner. Later that same year, Chris Masters was released for the second time, ending a chapter filled with unrealized potential and bittersweet regret. Enzo Amore and Big Cass. From phenomenon to a painful collapse. During their time in NXT, Enzo Amore and Big Cass were among the most beloved tag teams. The contrast between Enzo, a sharp-tongued, streetwise talker, and Cass, a towering stoic powerhouse, created a perfect formula. Every time they appeared, the arena erupted with their signature catchphrase, "How you doin'?" Fans adored their energy, humor, and unique charisma so much that WWE couldn't ignore them. In 2016, Enzo and Cass were called up to the main roster, and many believed they would capture the tag team championships in no time. Their debut on Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania 32, became one of the era's most explosive moments. They brought fresh electricity to Raw and generated massive merchandise sales. They were rising stars, full of character, wildly popular, and seemingly destined for greatness. But misfortune struck quickly. At Payback 2016, Enzo Amore suffered a serious concussion after crashing into the ring ropes, forcing the match to stop. From that moment, their momentum stalled. Although they remained popular after Enzo returned, the original fire had dimmed. Despite memorable moments, including teaming with John Cena at Battleground 2016, WWE never gave them the tag titles fans expected. In 2017, WWE shocked everyone by splitting them up. Enzo was sent to the Cruiserweight division, while Big Cass was pushed as a solo heel in the mid-card. Both paths failed. Cass suffered a severe injury that halted his progression, while Enzo became embroiled in personal controversies that led to his release. From one of NXT's most creative and marketable teams to a cautionary tale, Enzo and Cass became a prime example of how WWE can squander potential with just a few misguided choices. Their breakup remains one of the most heartbreaking falls of the modern era. Vladimir Kozlov, the fighting machine, swallowed by time. When Vladimir Kozlov debuted in WWE in 2008, the company saw him as the perfect villain: massive, menacing, and nearly unbeatable. Nicknamed the Moscow Mauler, Kozlov was built as an unstoppable force, destroying opponents within minutes. From mid-card wrestlers to top stars, all fell before his cold, brutal strength. WWE clearly envisioned him as the next monstrous main event attraction. From late 2008 to early 2009, Kozlov received a powerful push, even entering storylines with Triple H and Jeff Hardy, two of SmackDown's biggest names. However, under the spotlight, his biggest flaw became evident. Despite his imposing physique, his in-ring style was overly basic, emotionless, and failed to connect with the crowd. His matches were criticized as slow and dull, and fans grew visibly uninterested whenever he appeared. Remarkably, WWE still stuck with their plan to make him a top star. There were even rumors of Kozlov facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, and he once shocked viewers by defeating The Undertaker on SmackDown, an extremely rare feat, but rather than elevating him, the backlash from fans only intensified. By April 2009, WWE quietly moved Kozlov to ECW, an admission that the main event experiment had failed. In an unexpected twist, Kozlov was later reinvented as a comedic character alongside Santino Marella. Ironically, this light-hearted role, far removed from his original monster persona, became the most entertaining and well-received phase of his career. From a feared destroyer to a comic relief act, Vladimir Kozlov's journey is proof that in WWE, it's not size or dominance that secures greatness, it's the ability to connect with the audience. Alex Riley, from rising star to forgotten name. In 2011, Alex Riley was seen as one of WWE's most promising young stars. With good looks, a strong physique, and confident mic skills, he had all the ingredients of an A-list talent. He first gained attention as the Miz's protege, sharing in his success and appearing at major events. But his true breakthrough came when he betrayed his mentor. The moment Riley turned on the Miz, the arena exploded. From a background figure, he instantly became a fan favorite. Defeating the Miz at Capital Punishment 2011 seemed like the beginning of his ascent to the main event scene. His popularity was so strong that many saw him as a new breeze in WWE, a fresh talent ready to rise to stardom. Then suddenly, everything collapsed. The major push WWE had given him vanished without explanation. He began suffering a string of losses, over a dozen in a row, destroying his image as a rising hero. From a breakout star, Riley was demoted to the mid-card and gradually erased from major programming. By 2013, he was moved to NXT as a commentator, a role typically reserved for unused wrestlers. Despite several attempts to return to the ring, he never regained momentum. Finally, in 2016, WWE released him, closing a chapter filled with unfulfilled potential. Many believe backstage issues played a role in his downfall, but regardless of the cause, Alex Riley's rapid fall remains one of WWE's most shocking tragedies, a star who seemed to have it all, only to be silenced just as he began to shine. Diamond Dallas Page, the tragedy of a wasted legend. When Diamond Dallas Page signed with WWE in 2001, many believed it would mark a monumental chapter in his career. In WCW, DDP was one of the biggest names, a self-made star who rose to the top, captured world championships, and built a massive fanbase. So when WCW was bought out, his arrival in WWE was seen as a historic moment. But instead of being honored as a legend, he became a prime example of how true talent can be squandered in a new environment. Right from his debut, WWE saddled DDP with a bizarre gimmick, portraying him as the stalker of The Undertaker's wife. Rather than showcasing the cool, tough, battle-hardened former champion he was, WWE turned him into a weak heel, constantly humiliated and crushed by The Undertaker. What should have been a clash of icons turned into a one-sided feud, leaving fans disappointed and disengaged. When that storyline ended, WWE seemed to lose all faith in him. DDP was pushed down to the mid-card, where he continued to work hard but was never given another real chance to shine. Even though he held the European Championship, it was a far cry from the status of a former world champion in WCW. Going from a legend to a supporting act made him fade among the flood of new faces. What hurt fans most was knowing that DDP's talent, charisma, and passion were still intact, but WWE never tapped into it. With his excellent mic skills, natural charisma, and relentless fighting spirit, he could have become a top figure in the post-Attitude Era, if only he'd been given a fair opportunity. Though DDP later found success through yoga and inspirational work, his short stint in WWE remains the biggest blemish on his legendary career. A man who once stood at the peak of wrestling glory is too often remembered as a missed opportunity, and that is the saddest tragedy of Diamond Dallas Page. Sanity, from NXT's chaos to SmackDown's forgotten madness. During the golden era of NXT's Black and Gold brand, Sanity stood as the embodiment of pure chaos. Led by Eric Young, the faction captivated fans with their wild energy, unsettling presence, and distinctive characters. From Killian Dane's brutality, Alexander Wolf's eerie calmness, to Nikki Cross's unpredictable insanity. Sanity wasn't just a faction. They were the living, breathing definition of madness, making it impossible for NXT audiences to look away. When Sanity was called up to SmackDown Live in 2018, fans believed they were destined to become one of WWE's future-defining groups. But the cracks showed immediately. Nikki Cross was left behind in NXT, stripping the group of a crucial part of their identity. Even so, Sanity made an impact, entering a feud with the New Day, one of WWE's most popular teams. Their victory at Extreme Rules 2018 felt like the beginning of something great. Then, just as suddenly, everything collapsed. Sanity disappeared from television without explanation. No storyline, no direction, no chance to reclaim momentum. A faction once praised for its uniqueness and potential became invisible within the very system that birthed them. By April 2019, Sanity briefly resurfaced, only to be fed to The Miz in a 3-on-1 loss. The once fearsome bringers of chaos were reduced to a hollow shell, stripped of all credibility. Soon after, the group was split up and quietly erased from WWE's narrative. Sanity's tragedy wasn't born from a lack of talent. It came from never being given a true chance. They were a vivid product of NXT's creativity, only to be crushed by the larger machine that failed to understand the very madness it once embraced. Taz, from legendary debut to a sudden fall in WWE. When talking about one of the most shocking and powerful debuts in WWE history, Taz at Royal Rumble 2000 is always mentioned. In front of tens of thousands at Madison Square Garden, he walked out in a black coat, cold eyes staring ahead, and choked out Kurt Angle, the undefeated Olympian. In just a few minutes, Taz blew the roof off the arena and was hailed as a true monster who would dominate WWE in the years to come. Yet ironically, that moment became the lone highlight of his entire WWE run. Just weeks after his historic debut, the momentum died. Taz was pushed into meaningless matches with no clear direction or character building. At WrestleMania 16, he appeared briefly in the Hardcore Battle Royal, a chaotic match where WWE had no intention of making him stand out. From being introduced as ECW's Human Suplex Machine, he was reduced to a forgotten name among a crowded mid-card. By summer 2000, things got even worse. WWE put him in a feud with Jerry Lawler, a commentator decades older. The storyline wasn't just bizarre, it destroyed the image of the street warrior Taz once embodied. While fans expected him to clash with top stars like Triple H or The Rock, WWE turned him into a background character with no purpose or path. The breaking point came at Royal Rumble 2001. Taz was eliminated in just 10 seconds by a single punch from Kane, before his entrance music even stopped. It was the perfect symbol of his WWE fate, from sky-high expectations to crushing irrelevance, all in a heartbeat. Eventually, Taz stepped away from the ring and moved to commentary, where he regained some respect. But to many fans, his WWE career will always be a tragedy. The story of a warrior who once shook the arena, only to fade because the company never knew how to use him. Kofi Kingston, from championship dream to an unthinkable fall. Kofi Kingston's victory over Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35 is one of the most emotional championship wins of the modern era. It wasn't just a title, it was the reward for over a decade of dedication, persistence, and heart from a man long labeled as just a tag team guy. Throughout his reign, Kofi defended the WWE Championship with pride, delivering strong matches and earning universal respect. Fans believed Kofi Mania would last. But it all ended in 8 seconds. On the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox in 2019, Kofi faced Brock Lesnar in a title defense. The bell rang, Lesnar hit one F5, and Kofi Kingston, WWE Champion, lost instantly. No rematch. No explanation. No redemption. In that moment, 11 years of hard-earned glory vanished like it never happened. Fans expected some kind of storyline, a fight for his pride, a quest to reclaim his crown. But that day never came. Just a week later, Kofi returned to smiling with a new day, as if the loss meant nothing. No bitterness, no mention, no closure. From that point on, his character was frozen. Forever the happy tag team member, never again the world champion. WWE's refusal to build on Kofi Mania is still one of the company's most criticized decisions. Instead of elevating him as a solo star, they put him back in the same role he had always played. And while the New Day remained successful, fans never forgot that Kofi Kingston once touched the peak of wrestling, only to be dragged down in seconds. This wasn't just a loss. It was a career tragedy, when the greatest triumph of a star became the sudden end of his lifelong dream. Dolph Ziggler, the tragedy of the best who was never chosen. If there's one WWE name that inspires both admiration and sorrow, it's Dolph Ziggler. He had everything to be a top superstar: in-ring excellence, versatility, a great look, and unmatched willingness to sacrifice his body. Yet ironically, it was this very dedication that led to a career filled with brief highs and countless heartbreaks. His greatest moment came the night after WrestleMania 29, when Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on Alberto Del Rio to become World Heavyweight Champion. The arena exploded. No one deserved it more. Fans believed this was the dawn of a main event era for the show-off. But the celebration was short-lived. A concussion weeks later forced him out, and when he returned, all momentum was gone. WWE no longer trusted him with the spotlight. From world champion, he was pushed down to mid-card, becoming the man who made others look good. Every time it seemed he'd rise again, like Survivor Series 2014 or his IC title run at TLC 2016, WWE would abruptly halt his push, trapping him in a cycle, explode, then fade. Dolph Ziggler was often called the next Shawn Michaels, yet he was never treated like one. He gave fans unforgettable matches and unforgettable bumps, but the system never allowed him to stay on top. His tragedy isn't a lack of talent or effort. He had both in abundance. It's that he was always the one helping others shine, while his own light was quietly dimmed. A remarkable career, yet one of the saddest tales in modern WWE history. These tragedies remind us that glory in WWE is never guaranteed or everlasting. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more powerful stories from Wrestling Sphere.